Welcome to Health Tech Talk. This is where business, healthcare, and technology collide. Our host, Ben Chodor, interviews healthcare innovators and industry titans who are striving to make the world healthier with bleeding-edge human ingenuity. You'll hear it all on Health Tech Talk. Now, here's your host, Ben Chodor.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. You're listening to Health Tech Talk, broadcasting live from 640 WGST in the iHeartRadio studios and broadcasting worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. I have two amazing guests today, but I want to start off with my first guest. But before I even jump into my first guest, hey, I hope everyone is staying warm out there. I mean, it is a cold, cold winter, whether you're in Atlanta or New York or no matter where you are in the country, it is pretty cold, which actually leads me to my first guest. My first guest is Ted Karkus. He is the CEO and chairman of the board of ProPhase, which is the makers of Cold Ease Cold Remedy. Ted, first, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ben.
And how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I love doing these types of interviews. I love talking about Cold Ease Cold Remedy, which I'm really proud of.
Well, first, even before we jump into the product, man, I was reading your bio and it sort of blew me away. All right, it's not only are you, the CEO and chairman of the board of ProPhase Labs, you basically, before that, you were the founder of Forrester Financial LLC. You were a consulting firm consulting with Cold Ease, and I kind of use it as you're like Victor Kayam, who was like a customer and liked this company, Gillette. He liked a razor so much that he went out and bought it. You basically were consulting this company, and then you became CEO of the company. First, how did that happen?
Ben, I love it. So this is interesting. I have a background on Wall Street of first advising portfolio managers who manage mutual funds and pension funds on stock research and what stocks to invest in. And at the same time, I was investing in companies on my own, and I found that I was making more money investing than I was working for a brokerage firm, so I went off on my own. I created Forrester Financial, but all that really was or meant was that I would invest in companies. I would tell my friends about the companies I was investing in, and because I was making money and I was successful and I wasn't charging them commissions or anything, they would invest in the companies that I invested in. And what I found over time, I developed a following of people and a big network of people who would invest in the companies that I invested in. So these small cap companies, I became a large shareholder when you included all of my friends and my network of people who invested with me. It gave me a lot of power and leverage with management to find out what's really going on with the company and to get their attention. And more times than not, after I became a large investor, that's when you learn about the skeletons. Once you learn about the skeletons, then you're stuck in the company, and you have to figure out how to help the company. So I really use Forrester Financial as a way to consult to companies, not to make money on the consulting side, but really just to help the companies along because I was an investor.
Yeah, but I'm going to jump in there a second. So you made it sound like you small caps and you're sort of helping them out. But what you did for the turnaround of IOD Biomedical, an influenza vaccine manufacturer, and helping them 7 years later after you got involved with the company sell to Glaxo for, $1.4 billion. Yes, and that's $1.4 billion. That is major. So you're not just someone who invested and consulted with and helped them. You actually understood a little bit of a secret sauce, and I actually going to say, as the CEO of the company, you understand what it's like to be an operator. It's a big difference in just investing in a company and advising a company. Operating a company is huge.
Yeah, so I made the unique transition from Wall Street to Main Street, and when I was on Wall Street, I thought, just like all the other Wall Street guys, that it's easy to manage a company. Anybody can do it. I took the management for granted, and now that I'm on the other side, I have found that I have to make 1,000 decisions every day, and those decisions have lasting implications for whether the company is going to go in the right direction or the wrong direction. And so when they say when you're investing that the three most important items are management, management, and management,
I agree.
It's absolutely the case. So what's interesting with ID Biomedical, I was an outsider. I was just a large shareholder. I helped force out the CEO of the company and promoted the two guys underneath the CEO, and they ran the company based on my shareholdings and my friend's shareholdings. I was able to carry a little weight in making that transition, and I helped and also watched these two guys step up to the plate and completely turn around and build the company. And that was the precursor to me then investing in and being integrally involved in our company, ProPhase Labs. And I didn't like the direction of the company at one point, and so I launched what's called the proxy contest, where I nominated my own board of directors, and because myself, my friends, my network of people who were all investors, we weren't happy with the direction of the company, we all voted for the board of directors that I nominated, and I suffered through 2 federal lawsuits, and I won a very, very close election. When my board won, it hired me as CEO. And at the time, I had no experience as a CEO, and so I had to learn the business while at the same time the business was in sharp decline. So I had to restructure the business. I had to turn around the Cold Ease Cold Remedy brand. I had to develop a new marketing plan. And so I was learning on the go, and that first year or two, it was hectic and fast-paced.
But that's how a CEO is supposed to be, all right? As someone who's done his own startup and sold a company successfully, that's what it's about, and that's what's special, because then it goes back to what are you investing in? Management. Obviously, you have to have a good product, but you have to have a really good team. So what was it about the Cold Ease Cold Remedy product and the line of the company that really attracted you? And can you tell my audience a little bit about the company?
Sure. Okay. So first of all, in 1992, the Dartmouth College conducted a study on zinc gluconate glycine lozenges. That's the magic formula in Cold Ease Cold Remedy. And they demonstrated that these lozenges shortened the duration of the common cold by 42%. In 1996, our product was now branded Cold Ease, and we went to the Cleveland Clinic, and the Cleveland Clinic didn't believe in the earlier study, and they set out to prove that the earlier study wasn't valid. They took our actual Cold Ease lozenges, conducted another double-blind placebo-controlled study, which basically means they took a group of people as they were getting sick, they split them up into 2 groups. One group got Cold Ease lozenges, the other group got placebo lozenges, which were basically looked and tasted exactly the same as our Cold Ease lozenges, except that they didn't have the active ingredient in it. And they found that the group who took the Cold Ease Cold Remedy lozenges, their colds, again, were shortened in duration by the same average 42% compared to the group that didn't take Cold Ease. The Cleveland Clinic was shocked. They were impressed. It got national attention. Everybody was scrambling, running to the stores, trying to buy the product. They couldn't keep it on the shelves. They couldn't manufacture it fast enough. At the time, I was a shareholder, and I provided some of the working capital that was used to ramp up production of the product. And then it was 12 years later where I didn't like the direction of the company, and Cold Ease sales had been declining for 3 or 4 years. And that's when I came in, took control of the company, and restructured the company and turned around the brand.
So no 2 lozenges are created equally. I mean, what I'm learning here, and when I was on your website and I looked at all the testimonials, it's a lozenger is not a lozenger, right?
Well, that's interesting, because actually we're often consumers who aren't knowledgeable about our product think of us as a cough drop. And they don't understand. Cough drops don't have zinc gluconate glycine in them, and the cough drops and other products that have zinc don't release the zinc ions in your mouth. And that's the key to how our product works, is that Cold Ease, with its formula and the way it's formulated and with the other ingredients, it releases zinc ions in your mouth, which are absorbed by your upper respiratory system. The scientific theory suggests that these zinc ions block the cold virus from replicating. And so there are other products that have zinc, like dietary supplements, but those are products that you just swallow that go into your stomach that may provide you some immune support, but that's very different than a product that's releasing zinc ions in your mouth.
Ted, I got to interrupt you for a second, because I got to cut for a commercial. I want to come back to this. You're listening to Health Tech Talk live. We're broadcasting from 640 WGST on the iHeart Radio Network, and I want to give a special thanks to 1-800 Public Relations for all their media support, and we'll be back after these words from our...
Take control of your money. Start by listening to The Dave Ramsey Show.
You go to a restaurant and you buy a meal, you don't think anything about buying a meal. You get ready to buy a car, you don't think anything about buying a car. You know you're supposed to pay for it. You know no one's supposed to give you a free car. You know you don't feel entitled to a car. You get ready to buy a house, you know you got to get ready to buy a house, you know you got to pay for it. What is weird about nursing homes is people don't think they need to pay for them. Why do people think they should get to stay at a nursing home free?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays at 2:06 on Talk Radio 640 WGST.
The nights are getting cooler, and soon winter will be here. Take advantage of Trinity Air's $79 heating system precision tune-up special. This 16-point expert safety inspection will pay for itself in energy savings, extend the life of the system, and avoid untimely breakdowns. Call 770-486-COOL. System replacement. Trinity Air delivers match value for your dollar. At Trinity Air, we give you a price. Guarantee that price, and we'll guarantee the work. Our knowledgeable and dependable technicians have quality solutions for all your heating and cooling needs, according to your neighbor Donna Zaliski.
They explain things so thoroughly that you have a really good understanding of what's going on within your home. You never feel they have pressured you into a purchase.
All our work is done in a timely fashion and comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So call today, 770-486-COOL. Need repairs? Good news. Mention this ad and save $25.
Can you purchase anything today that costs less than $1? Even dime stores are now dollar stores. But SelectQuote may be able to help you get life insurance for less than $1 a day. How do we do it? By comparison shopping highly rated insurance companies, SelectQuote agents can help you buy peace of mind for under $1 a day. That's how it worked for Alec, a healthy 38-year-old father of two who got a 10-year, $500,000 policy through SelectQuote for under $21 a month. I'm Nick Soboleski, a SelectQuote agent. Visit us at SelectQuote.com or call now to discover yes, you can get life insurance that meets your needs at an affordable rate.
For your free quote, call 1-800-900-1665. That's 1-800-900-1665. 1-800-900-1665. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Hi, folks. Alan Thicke here, and you've probably heard, maybe from me, that if you owe the IRS money, they can do some scary things. Garnish your wages, levy your bank account, even seize your home or business. You add on the penalties and interest, and getting out of debt can seem impossible. Back taxes are for real. It's not a game. But the game changes when you have a team of tax experts on your side. The professionals at Optima Tax Relief can immediately protect you from aggressive collections. And for a limited time, the IRS is offering a tax debt forgiveness program. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. With the help of Optima, you may qualify for a settlement that saves you thousands. Nobody knows the game better than the Optima team. Don't wait till it's game over. Let their experts coach you through this. It's a win-win. Call for your free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Atlanta's compelling talk. Talk Radio 640 WGST is available anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. Download it now at WGST.com.
Welcome back, and if you're tuning in, you're listening to Health Tech Talk, broadcasting from the iHeartRadio studios, 640 WGST, and streaming worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. With me is the CEO of ProPhase Labs, makers of Cold Ease, Cold Remedy, and much, much more. We were just talking a little bit about the product. There's so much more we're going to talk about, but Ted, we sort of left with you saying what, I was asking, no two lozenges are made equally. You were saying what some of the secret sauce in your product is. I'd love you to finish that, and then let's go on to some other questions.
Sure. So really simply, we have zinc gluconate glycine in our Cold Ease, Cold Remedy lozenges. Nobody else has that exact formula. And interestingly, some products that have zinc have other active or inactive ingredients which can bind to the zinc and don't allow the zinc ions to be released in your mouth. And again, the scientific theory basically is when these zinc ions from Cold Ease are released in your mouth, they're absorbed by the upper respiratory system, and it blocks the cold virus from replicating. So just because the product has zinc in it doesn't mean it's going to shorten the duration of your cold. And then, of course, you have all of these cough drops that don't have zinc, and they may make your sore throat feel a little better or your cough feel a little better for an hour or two, but that is very different from our product, which literally shortens the duration of the common cold by almost half.
So Ted, since you took over running the company, not just being involved with the company, when you joined, how many products did the company have, and how many products are there now?
Wow. So interestingly, when I joined, there were a bunch of other products. The company had tried to introduce other products. First of all, they tried to introduce more Cold-Ease lozenges in different flavors. There was sort of a proliferation of flavors, and after a while, these flavors are just cannibalizing on sales of other flavors. And so as I come in, sales are declining, and retailers are kicking products off the shelf. And I went to our first what's called ECRM conference, where you meet with virtually 70 retailers over a 3-day period. These are 20-minute meetings, and retailer after retailer said, Ted, love your passion, love your enthusiasm, but your sales are declining, so which product are we going to take off the shelf? And what happens, it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle in that as you have less visibility on the shelf, consumers don't notice you they purchase less, your sales decline, then the retailer wants to kick more products off the shelf, and it's a recipe for disaster. It's very hard to turn it around. So what we did is we stopped introducing new flavors of lozenges. We have our core flavors, and consumers love them, and now we introduce other products. We developed an oral spray, so that's in a new form with the same magic formula, which also shortens your cold, but it's in a spray. 2 sprays equal 1 lozenges. And then we developed what are called quick melts, which are tablets that dissolve in your mouth in maybe 30 or 60 seconds, as opposed to a lozenge, which might take 15 minutes. We found that some people don't like the lozenge because they don't like how it's medicine and they don't like how long it takes to dissolve in your mouth. So we provided these quick melts, and not only do we do the new form that dissolves fast in your mouth, but we also improved by adding other functions. So in addition to shortening your cold, some of our quick melt products also relieve symptoms. For instance, we have a multi-symptom reliever that both shortens your cold and provides relief of many symptoms. We have another quick melt product that shortens your cold and also gives you a great night's sleep naturally. So we have a number of products now, not just lozenges. We probably still have about 9 flavors of lozenges, 3 are sugar-free, but now we have a whole line of roughly 5 or 6 Cold-Ease cold remedy products in a quick melts form.
So, Ted, what's coming down the pike? Is there anything new coming?
Sure. So this is actually new news because we just went to ECRM. Otherwise, I'd be kind of hesitant to discuss it. But we're introducing an allergy product from Cold-Ease, which is natural, and it's very rare to find an allergy product which is natural, and it has a couple of homeopathic natural ingredients which a lot of consumers want in their allergy product. And it's by of course, the makers of Cold-Ease is the way we're going to introduce it on the shelf, and that'll be available probably in September. And then we're also going to introduce a Cold-Ease lozenge, which is a multi-symptom lozenge, which will shorten your cold and also relieve other symptoms. It'll still be homeopathic. It'll still have natural ingredients in it, and so we'll have lozenges that shorten your cold, and then we'll have a new multi-symptom lozenge that shortens your cold and relieves other symptoms which consumers want.
So you're doing a lot of stuff you're doing is coming from consumer demand for the most part.
Oh, correct. Listen, you can develop the greatest product in the world, but if consumers don't want it, they're not going to buy it. So I as an example, I have a card insert inside every package of Cold-Ease with a special email address at the bottom where consumers can reach out to me directly. I read and respond to every single one of those emails, and I get feedback from consumers all the time, and I use that feedback in the boardroom when I'm talking to our head of R&D and our product strategy team, and together we develop new ideas, and that in part is based on listening to feedback from consumers. So we like to listen to consumers all the time and be proactive.
So what's your secret sauce in, assessing your retail distribution, keeping your retail operations, and what are the plans? I know you offer your products online too, but is the internet becoming more and more a place where people are buying these products, or is it still brick and mortar?
That's a great question. Most consumer products, the internet or online sales are growing by the day. In our business, though, because we are a needs-based product, and what that means is people are only interested in buying Cold-Ease when they're catching a cold. If they're not catching a cold, they're not thinking about purchasing cold remedies. And when you're catching a cold, you want immediate relief, so you tend to go to the drugstore right away to purchase it. You don't want to order it online and wait a week for it to come. So we don't really focus. I mean, we do provide online sales more as a customer service because there are consumers that want to buy a particular Cold-Ease product and they can't find it in their store, so they'll order it online. But the vast majority of our sales are with retailers, and we're in over 40,000 stores around the country, including all the major food, drug, and mass. And by food, drug, and mass, food are all the large supermarket chains. By drug, I'm talking about Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. And when I say mass, I'm talking about Walmart, Target, and Kmart. You go down the cough cold aisle of any of these 40,000 stores, you'll see Cold-Ease Cold Remedy. So
without giving away any confidential information, is your online sales 15, 20% of the business? Is there a percentage, or is it growing year over year?
It's less than 10%, and it's probably even less than 5%. And I would love to build it, and in fact, I'm talking to our team about building our online presence. But I think that will really play more of a role when we start introducing products outside of the cough cold category, and that's something we're planning for the future.
So that's awesome. I'm definitely going to have you on the show when we talk about that. I want everyone to know you're listening to Health Tech Talk. I'm Ben Chodor. We're broadcasting from 640 WGST on the iHeart Radio Network. And with me is Ted Karkus. He is the CEO of ProPhase Labs, makers of Cold-Ease Cold Remedy, and much, much more. So what do you think you're one of the reasons why organizations, stores, keep on taking orders from your company? Like, what makes your product special, and why, and how do you get people to notice you when they go into a pharmacy?
Sure. So the way the business works, I like to, anytime I meet with a retailer, I always tell them I believe that we're partners. Because if they're not successful, we're not going to be successful, and vice versa. And it is I've seen over and over again companies that will develop a new product. They'll bring it to the retailers, they'll put it on the shelf, and they think it's just going to sell itself, and it never does.
That's true.
It's 1 out of a million that a product's going to sell itself. For the most part, you have to market, and you have to market your product. That means advertise. You have to advertise it effectively and efficiently. And the bottom line is retailers are under enormous pressure to maximize the profitability of every square inch on the shelf. Which means if there's a product on the shelf and it's not performing, they're going to kick it out in a heartbeat and put another product in its place, because the buyer of the retailer, he or she is under pressure to maximize that space. So we have to make sure there's big turnover of our product and that they're selling. In order to do that, I oversee a wide range of marketing initiatives, including TV commercials. I'm actually on the TV commercial, and I come on at the end of the product just to say, as CEO, I guarantee Cold-Ease Cold Remedy will shorten the duration of your cold or your money back, no questions asked. I love saying it. Consumers love hearing it. And I do that in all forms of advertising. We do national sampling in doctors' offices. We find the doctors' offices love our product once we send it to them, and they give out our samples to their sick patients, and then they turn around and become loyal consumers. We found once a consumer tries Cold-Ease, they love it for life, and so we're always trying to drive new trial by bringing attention to it.
Your passion is incredible. So this is an education for everyone listening who wants to start a business, whether it's a product as we sold retail, or whether it's a pharmaceutical product, or whether it's a business product. This is amazing. You have to have the passion. You have to have the vision. All right, so we're in the middle of cold season, right? It's the middle of end of February. Any tips for our audience? Do they still need it? When should they start taking a product?
Sure. So first of all, it's also, and I don't necessarily want to say that it doesn't really help our business,
right,
but it's still not too late to get a flu shot, because the flu season lasts for several months, although this year the CDC got it wrong. And basically each year the CDC collects data from around the world as to what flu virus strains exist in the world and what's likely to come over to our country in the upcoming cold season. So they start this process early in the year, and then they have to guesstimate, because it takes 4 to 6 months to produce the flu vaccine. This year they got it wrong. They found that the flu actually mutated, and so the vaccine was only about 30% effective, but it can still help. But what that meant was, given that we have a particularly cold year where there's a lot more people catching colds, you combine that with the fact that they have the wrong flu vaccine out there. And so as you can imagine, the incidence of upper respiratory illness has been up double digits ever since the cold season started in late November. So for the past 3 months, double digits, and our cough cold sales clearly.
I got to interrupt you because I'm getting the sign for a commercial. Ted, you were amazing. Everyone should check out Coldies. You're listening to Health Tech Talk on the iHeart Radio Network. A special shout out to everyone at 1-800 Public Relations for all their media support, and for my board operator, Paul. We'll be back.
Talk Radio 640 WGST. I'm Mark Wolf.